Girl, answer this FaceTime call so that I can tell you how my 39th birthday was literally life-changing. Okay, so now that I'm all settled into bed, let's get into it. So if you're not new here, then you've heard part of this story before. I've done sit-down videos about it, and I talked about it in some of my vlogs. But if you are new here, let me catch you up, girl. So for my 39th birthday, I just kind of had this epiphany. I came to the realization that I was a lot to everybody else, to my husband, to my kids, my family, and I was being just a little bit to myself. I was taking care of myself, but I was not prioritizing myself. And let me tell you what I mean by that. I would do everything for everybody, and then with whatever crumbs I had left over, I would pour that into myself. Sometimes that meant that I was pouring from an empty cup. And if you know anything about self-care, you have to know that you cannot take care of yourself with crumbs. You just can't. It's not going to work. So I don't typically celebrate the new year, like the new calendar year, like everybody else does. I'm not a new year, new me type person. My new year for me is my birthday. It is the one day that everybody's not making changes. It's the one day that's all about me. And I've always been like that. Before my 39th birthday, I made up my mind that I would just do better taking care of Latricia. I was really good at taking care of everybody else. I was super mom, super wife, super daughter, the friend that everybody could call when they needed. I was everything to everybody else, and I was neglecting my own health. In addition to it being my birthday, another wake-up call was I had a wellness visit for a program for my job, and I realized that in a very short period of time, I had gained a lot of weight. So for my birthday, I scheduled my annual visit with my primary care provider. In fact, I got a brand new primary care provider. I wanted to start fresh. I wanted a fresh set of eyes on my health. I knew going into that appointment that I had already been diagnosed with hypertension. I had been diagnosed with hypertension or high blood pressure since I was 19 years old. So at 39, I had been taking blood pressure medications for 20 years at that point. So I went into the new doctor. I told him what my concerns was with the rapid weight gain. And of course, off the bat, he was like, let's run a panel of tests. The testing came back. I had sleep apnea. I clearly was on the wrong dosage of blood pressure medication because my blood pressure was not being controlled like it should have been with the medicine that I was on. I had high cholesterol. I had pre-diabetes. Just the list was going on and on and on and on and on. So what led me there, in addition to it being my birthday, was weight gain, was the increased weight gain, but it ended up being more than that. So he referred me out. He changed some of my medications, and then he also referred me out to some specialists. That, after a while, led to me starting the GLP-1 medication. I've documented my journey with that. So that led to me starting the GLP-1 medication. Instantly, I started losing weight with the GLP-1 medication, and that ultimately reversed the sleep apnea. So that was out of the way. Further down the line, it ended up helping me with my blood pressure. So while I am still on blood pressure medication, my blood pressure medication has been reduced drastically since I made that choice to take better care of my health. Along with me taking better care of my health, I had to start being selfish. As a mom, we are often taught, and we say it with so much pride all the time, my kids come first. Nothing means more to me than my kids. My kids come before me. I would die for my kids. I would do, all the things that we say, girl. I had to realize that I was not being a good mom to my kids because I was not putting me first. I was not being selfish with taking care of me. And so my kids were getting the worn out, tired version of me. My husband was getting the overstimulated, worn out, tired version of me. So I came to the realization very quick that because I was not doing a good job of taking care of myself, mentally, physically, financially, spiritually, that the people that I love the most, I was not doing a good job of taking care of them either. And girl, the reason that I'm making this video is because if you have been here at least for the last few weeks, then you know that I just had a hysterectomy. My 39th birthday actually led to me getting surgery. So when I had the baby, my baby will be 4 next month. So 6 months after I had the baby, I had started having complications. Well, probably a little bit before the 6-month mark, where I was having heavy, painful cycles. And when I went to the doctor, we discussed all of my options. One of the options was a uterine ablation, where they can go in. The surgery actually alters the lining of your uterus. And for most people, you either have a really light cycle or you have no cycle at all. That actually helps for like the first year or so. Maybe 2 years after I started, I still wasn't having a full cycle, but when my cycle would come, it was so painful. The pain was debilitating. Prior to me having the ablation, she did give me the option, mind you, this is all before my 39th birthday. In fact, I was, I believe, 37 at the time. But she gave me the option to either have the ablation or have the hysterectomy. The reason that I chose not to have the hysterectomy at that time is because I kept thinking about my kids. My husband works out of the house. I have a new baby, a 6-month-old baby. What am I going to do with my baby? What am I going to do? Like, it was the reason that I didn't do it was because of everybody else. I knew that I wasn't having any more children. So that wasn't a factor in me deciding whether or not to have the ablation or the hysterectomy. But what helped me make the final decision to not have the hysterectomy at that time was I was constantly thinking about how was I going to take care of everybody else? What was everybody else going to do while I was down for 6 to 8 weeks? Well, life has a funny way of coming full circle, because when I finally had to have the hysterectomy this time, of course, I'm 40 now, so this is well after my epiphany for my 39th birthday. I'm not going to say I didn't care how everybody else would be taken care of, but I knew and I trusted that the man that I married would be able to hold this family down while I was recovering. And that's not to say that he wasn't capable of doing that back then, but I was still operating in everybody else comes first. I wasn't thinking about me. So this time I left the doctor after I had already decided I was going to get the hysterectomy. I called my husband at work. I said, hey, just leaving the doctor. He goes, how did the doctor's appointment go? I said, oh, I'm having surgery. That's how that went. And he said, okay. He said, what day is the surgery? I said, they'll call me back to schedule it. He said, just let me know. That was the whole conversation. When they finally scheduled the surgery, I shot him a text. I said, hey, call me when you get on your break. He called. I said, this is what day the surgery is. He said, okay. And he called me back 10 minutes later. He said, I took off the whole week of your surgery. And that is a part of self-care as well. Choosing the right partner is a part of self-care. Having a partner that is only there to take, abuse. And abuse is not always physical. They're not able to be there to support you the way that you need the support. That, to me, is a form of abuse. Having the right partner is a form of self-care, because when I'm not able to do it, it was no question. It was no, oh, can somebody else do it? Can you figure out how? It was none of that. He was instantly in, I got it, don't worry about it. For the week that he was off when I had my surgery, he literally did everything around the house for the kids, everything for me. The only thing he did not do for me was breathe. Literally everything else he took care of, everything. And the crazy thing about it is, if I've ever told you a part of our love story, then you would know that that's just who he is. I just didn't always want to relinquish those responsibilities, but my husband literally does. Even when it comes to the baby, he does 90% of the parenting, of the things, of the whatever, because one of his biggest priorities in this marriage is to allow me to be as comfortable as possible. Allow me to live the softest life possible. He makes my life so much easier. And once again, that is all a part of taking care of me, the people that I allow, the boundaries that I set. In addition to all of that, with my health for my 39th birthday, I started implementing boundaries in different relationships in my life. I am the type of person, I do have a loud bark, but I have a soft heart. So what that means is, when I'm mad at people, I'm mad at people. And certain people, when I'm done with them, I'm done with them. But the people that I care about the most, I had the tendency to allow them to just kind of take more than I had to give. That was poor self-care. That was poor self-management, child. And I had to learn how to do better. I encourage anybody, like, if you are looking for a starting point to do better for yourself, use it as a gift for your birthday. Give yourself the gift of taking care of you for your birthday. I don't care how much praise you get as being a good wife, a good mom. You are truly doing a disservice to the people that you love the most, your husband, your kids, your family, your parents, whatever, if you're not taking care of yourself. Because one thing that I learned, especially while I was recovering from the surgery, is when you are down, you get to see who really is there to take care of you. You get to see people's real motives, and you get to see why people really enjoy, or what people really feel like the benefit is of you being in their life. So when I turned 39, like I said before, not only did I make the decision to take better care of my health, I also decided to take better care of myself financially, spiritually, and mentally. And if you guys want, we can do another video about all of that on another day. But since I was here recovering, I was going through whatever with the surgery, it made me remember how I even got to this point. How did we get to the point of you having a full hysterectomy, girl? And I'm so proud of myself, because me a few years ago would have never elected to have a surgery where I would be down and not be fully functional and fully available for people for 6 to 8 weeks. I just wouldn't have. I wouldn't have even been able to see that it was possible, because I was only operating as a servant to other people and not to myself. All right, girls. So if you made it to the end of this cozy bed chat, thank you so much for letting me share my story. Thank you for picking up my FaceTime call, girl. And I would love to hear some of your stories in the comments about what was that one thing that made you decide, you know what, I have to do better at taking care of me. Or if you're thinking about it, drop down in the comments and tell me, what do you think is holding you back from pouring more into you? What do you think you're going to miss out on if you put you first? And if you've made it this far and you haven't already done so, make sure that you subscribe to my channel on your way out, and I will see you guys in the next video. That's it. That's all. Bye.